Hello and welcome to SugarCrumbCrafts. Today's spooks come from me. I wanted to share with you just a few of my creepy and unsettling true stories while I work a few rows onto this cozy little blanket. Share your spooky stories in the comment section if you dare. Let's begin. The first story is incredibly and undoubtedly creepy. It's definitely one of my own personal creepiest experiences that I've ever had happen. The witch. This happened about 2 years ago. I used to live in an apartment building where I had eventually made a friend because she had posted some plants for sale on Facebook Marketplace. I offered to buy them, and she just so happened to live in my building. We used to hang out together in her apartment often, mostly for coffee. One day, while I was at home in my own apartment, I had taken a nap. While I was asleep, I had a very creepy dream. I was sitting in her apartment, and out from around the corner to her living room, out walked a grudge-looking woman. She had long, dark, tangled hair. Her limbs were mangled, bending in all the wrong directions as she stumbled closer to me. I leaped from the side of the bed and jolted myself awake. I thought it was odd, but I didn't think much of it. Although I will say that in the moment when I had woken up, it took me a really long time to kind of shake the feeling I had off. It just felt very, very vivid. Like, it really felt like I was in the room. Now, this was a few days prior. My boyfriend had told me about a dream he had. And I forgot, honestly, that he even said it. So I didn't clue in until days later. But he had said that he dreamt about the same woman. He described her as mangled and twisted and this dark, long hair, like honestly, quite like The Grudge. Except that it had happened at a movie theater, which is a bit odd, but it's just the whole situation was really weird. So when I had visited my friend again, who lived in the apartment building or the apartment downstairs, I eventually told her about the dreams we had, thinking it was so strange that we dreamt the same thing, and I did not expect her to react the way that she did. I kid you not. Not one moment after I told her, she immediately and just so casually just says, "Oh, it's the witch." Obviously, I was confused. She said that she, the witch, follows her, and she was so sorry for attaching herself to us. I believed her because, again, it wasn't just me having these dreams, and also my friend was literally describing this entity exactly the same way that I described it and the way my boyfriend had described it, so definitely I believed it for sure. That same day, while we were having coffee, it was a little bit later in the day, she had went into the kitchen to grab something. Now, I don't remember what it was that she was grabbing, but there was a knife, and it was a ways away from the counter's edge. I swear, this knife flew from the counter. It didn't get bumped off. She didn't nudge it. It flew. It came out of nowhere, and it landed about a centimeter deep into the top of her foot, despite her quickly moving away. Now, I'm dead serious. She reacted so fast, and this knife would have had to, like, swerved to hit her foot. Like, swerved because she was nowhere near this knife when it fell. I'd offered her a ride to the hospital, but she did not want to go. Now, this is the best part. Not because it's necessarily the best part, but because it's probably the most creepiest part. She had 2 small children. Her daughter was in the bedroom having a nap, and her son was just a baby, and he was also napping in the crib that was nearby us. We were sitting on the couch, minding our own business, chatting about whatever, probably plant stuff, when absolutely out of nowhere came this deep, guttural, gut-curling, like blood-raising, hair-raising scream / growl that was coming from her daughter's room. And I'm telling you, if I wasn't there in the moment, I would not have believed it happened. It did not sound like it was human at all. And I am 100% convinced it was this witch that she was talking about. It was the scariest noise that I'd ever heard in my life. And it kept going. It wasn't quick. It actually kept going until my friend had reached her daughter's room and bursted through the door. Was like the exact moment that it had stopped. And her daughter was just in there. She was standing on the crib, and she was just laughing and playing with some toys in her crib like nothing had happened. So I'm not sure. I know with certainty that it wasn't her daughter making that noise. Like, it wasn't a toy. There was no toys. None that made noise anyway. And it was just extremely scary. Like, it was really, really freaky. And I'd never had anything happen again like that after. Thank God. But she says that's not the first time that happened to her. So, again, and honestly, if I was not there, I 100% would not have believed her or anybody if someone tried to tell me that story. But I really was there and I witnessed it, and it is still one of the scariest things, experiences that I've ever had in my life. Story number 2, the elevator. So this next story isn't the scariest story. It's also fairly short, and it definitely was eerie in the moment, but I still don't really know what to make of it. So if you have any ideas in the comments, let me know, because it was eerie, and I don't really know if it was like a malfunction or like a ding dong ditch sort of situation, but it was eerie to say the least. So here I was living in a different city, in a different apartment. I'd ordered some food, and I was headed downstairs to pick it up, or rather down the elevator. It was pretty late that night when I was going down, so the hallways weren't like, they were just lit with like the overhead lights, and that was all. I got onto the elevator and I pressed the button for the main floor. I was on floor 3, by the way. The elevator went down 1 floor and it stopped. I had figured that someone was coming onto the elevator. So to be polite, I moved aside before the doors had opened, again, assuming somebody was there. When the doors opened, I was greeted by an eerie, empty hallway. Usually, I probably wouldn't have had a second thought about the situation. I probably would have just figured, oh, strange, I move on. But if it wasn't for this overwhelming sense that someone or something was stepping into the elevator with me, even though nobody was there. The doors remained open just long enough for someone to enter, and then they closed. Now, I can't remember if I had clicked the door close button and it stayed open, or if I didn't click it and I just let it, because I was just probably creeped out. So I was probably like, what the hell, and didn't even think to hit the button, to be honest. So I'm not really sure, but it definitely felt like someone had came in. Like it felt like someone was standing next to me, even though nobody was there. And the rest of the ride was fine. I mean, the whole way, it's only down one floor. So I went down the one floor, I got off the elevator, and went back up to my apartment just fine. And, you know, I survived. It was just really strange. I'd never had that happen again while I was at that apartment, like before or after. So it was just kind of weird. I also will mention as well on this one that right before I left my apartment, I was standing in my living room and had a friend there, and he was watching TV. And in the corner of or I guess against the back wall of my living room, then I had an art desk and one of those rolly chairs. It was like a rolly chair, but it spun. And in the corner of my eye, I swear I saw the chair was spinning back and forth, like spinning in the corner of my eye. And I went and I glanced at it really quickly and it wasn't moving. And my friend who was there didn't say anything. So I'm assuming that it was a trick of my eye. But then just to like have that happen and then the elevator happen, it was just kind of weird in my own opinion. Story number 3. It follows. This last story is possibly not the creepiest, but it's unsettling to say the least. It's something that I've lived with for a very, very long time, and I can certainly expand on this particular story. I don't know if I'm going to get into that in this video. However, I will say that the time is going quite slowly. I thought it would take me longer to read these. So anyway, all my life, I have felt that someone has been following me. Whether it is some sort of guardian, well, I don't know. I will add, when I was very, very young, I had woken up in the middle of the night in my room, and I had a sheer sheet over my bedroom window as a way to kind of keep the sun out. Well, it was just early enough in the morning. It was just happened through summer, I think, that the sun was coming into my room and it was illuminating parts of my room, but not a lot of light, just a little bit. I had woken up. I was groggy, clearing out my eyeballs with my hands, my fists. And I had looked to the corner of my room. It did not take me long to find that there was a creepy shadow figure standing in the corner of my room. It was so creepy. It didn't move. It didn't have any like features, just a shadow of like a man's shape. At the time, my dad would sometimes come into my room and because I had the breaker box in my room, so he would sometimes come in during the night to flick the breaker or early or whatever. And it certainly wasn't him. So I was like, what the hell? And I stared at it for what felt like forever, but it was probably only like 10 seconds. And I had a very, very stereotypical like horror movie moment with my lamp where I tried to reach over to my lamp and I tried to turn it on, but I just couldn't find like the thing. It was like a push on and off where you push the little bar through. And I, for the life of me, could not find it. And I was like, I'm not going to let this happen to me. And it did. And I ended up flicking my head back to see pop my light on and then pop my head forward and it was gone. Yeah. So that's a little bit of pretext to story. So my best friend, I don't know if I'd call her a medium, but she's definitely sensitive. She's been sensitive for a long time, since she was born, and she has her own daily experiences. Like, she's way more sensitive than I am. She has told me times when she knew that I was not alone, where she could feel or sense something lingering in my house. So for years growing up, she would come over and she would sense something, but she wouldn't say anything because she didn't want to scare me. And then I kind of got to the point over years of time where I'm like, did you, like, curiously, did you? And she would admit to it. Well, one night, I had asked her, I said, like, did you sense it? And she says, honestly, every time you move, it comes with you. Which is a very creepy thing to admit, being alone in my apartment at 9 o'clock at night, but that is what it is. My house. So I had moved at this point. I was moving to an apartment in a different city, where I was in the first story that I read. And I had asked my boyfriend's sister, because I was moving in with her or with them for like the first few months that I was there or here. And I had asked her because I knew she was also sensitive from what my boyfriend had told me. And I asked her about it afterwards. And she said to me, just so casually, she just looked at me and said, honestly, the moment I saw you, the moment we came up to this apartment, I knew that you were not alone. So creepy. So, a little bit of a testament to just that whole story. She was able to kind of cue in on it one time, and she felt it standing at the door of the apartment, like almost like it was protecting us. But she couldn't make out if it was necessarily good or bad. I believe that it's just neutral, so whatever that means, let me know, because I'm curious to know your thoughts. So that's a little bit, you don't have to believe that's true, but I'm telling you, I'm pretty confident in it. And then I guess story number 4 is the phone that laughs. So I was at home with my boyfriend, and it was pretty late. We were here playing a video game together. Okay. We were laughing. We had paused the game and we were just laughing at something that happened. And we were bursting out like belly full of laughter. It was so funny. Ha ha ha. And all of a sudden, through our laughter came this third laugh that it just kind of was this thing laughing with us. And it wasn't like, I don't know if I want to say it was a good laugh or a bad laugh. It was just kind of a laugh. And let me tell you, it was very freaky. And I didn't think much of it because I actually thought that he had his phone or his Facebook on his phone. And that's what was, maybe he was playing a video and didn't realize it. So he looked me dead in the eyes. Dead in the eyes. This man was so serious. And he just goes completely quiet. And I look over at him and I realize what just happened. And I'm looking at him the same way. And he goes, "Did you hear that?" In this very hushed tone. And I went, "Are you talking about the laugh?" He's like, "Yeah, please tell me you heard that." And I said, "I did. Wasn't it your phone?" He picks up his phone and he turns on the screen. It was off. He turns on the screen. He opens it up and no notifications and no videos were playing on his phone. So, I mean, I've said this story to other people and they've just said it was, oh, technology. Oh, what can you do? How unpredictable. But I'm telling you, that was so freaking creepy. Like, extremely creepy. And then I believe it was the following night, maybe the night after, we were sitting on the couch, probably playing the same game. And I kid you not, there was this very long, deep scratch on the outside of the door, like the house door. And it was kind of windy that night, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but there was a very long, deep sounding scratch that came over the door. It was pretty creepy, not gonna lie, and he actually went up to the door and I said to him, I said, "Don't you dare open that door." "Don't you dare. I will check it tomorrow morning and find out if there's a mark on it, but do not touch that door." And he didn't. Thank God. So those are a couple. Literally, I'm honestly just a handful of experiences that I've had over the last few years. Some creepier than others. You can take it for what you will. I just wanted to share these stories, and also I don't want to box my channel into like one specific type of genre. I'd rather make it somewhat like a vlog, somewhere cozy, but yet like kind of spooky and slightly haunted, that people can find solace in and find a safe space in, and come back to when you're stressed or you just need a moment to have some kind of cozy vibes. And that's sort of what I'm going for on this channel. So if you like that, let me know. Give me a like. I'm not going to force you to subscribe, but a like would be nice. You deserve it. You made it this far. So sorry if you hear my tummy rumbling. Anyway, thank you for watching this video, and I hope you have yourself a very sound sleep. Don't let the bed bugs bite.